Villainous. That's how I'm feeling today. Working alongside Eriette of the Charmed Apple, a new aura and life drain commander from Wilds of Eldraine. Eriette of the Charmed Apple, a black, a white, and one other for a 2/4 human warlock. Each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. If we put auras on our opponent's creatures and we have Eriette on the battlefield, that means we control those auras, so Eriette's conditions have been fulfilled, and they can't attack us at all, meaning we can beef up our opponent's creatures to be huge threats against only our opponent's creatures until we don't need them anymore, and then we can dispense with them. That's second ability. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of auras you control. This happens at your end step, so we can drop Eriette after we have loaded up the battlefield on our side and on our opponent's side with auras, and make sure that we are draining and gaining the maximum amount and really take advantage of that second ability. The obvious way to build Eriette out of the box is auras and life drain and gain. You can do a lot of fun stuff with some of the auras we've got here. Minions Return has Flash for a 3-mana enchantment. When enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So you can save one of your creatures that's going to die. Instead, it just returns and we've got an aura on it, so even more synergy for us. Or if you happen to kill one of your opponent's strongest creatures, you can, at instant speed, enchant them with Minions Return so that when they die, they return to the battlefield under your control. Really a lot of fun shenanigans you can get going with an auras deck, especially in black and white. Spellbook Vendor has provided a new toy for this deck, along with a lot of Wilds of Eldraine having good synergies with auras. For a white and one other, you get a 2/2 human peasant with vigilance. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you can pay 1. When you do, create a sorcerer role token attached to target creature you control. And then it follows the normal role rules where you can only have one role at any given time. And then it's going to get +1/+1. And in the case of sorcerer role, whenever this creature attacks, scry 1. This is just a cheap way, without using resources from your hand, to get more auras onto the battlefield so that Eriette sees more auras and drains your opponents for more, getting us to that victory much quicker. Just getting auras on the battlefield without spending cards in your hand is fantastic because they'll get removed. But look at Griff's Boon, that bottom ability. 1 white, 3 other, return Griff's Boon from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to target creature. Only as a sorcery speed, but that's okay. Any aura that's going to come back, any aura that is not gone when it gets removed is huge for us because we just want to keep a certain number at least of auras on the battlefield so that every single turn our opponents are going down by 5. I think 5 is an achievable number in a deck like this. 5 auras on the battlefield at any given time is the goal. So at the end of each of our turns, they're all losing 5 and we're gaining life. That is exactly what we want to be doing. Griff's Boon helps stuff come back. I just want to also do a quick shout out to Phyresis. This is good in any aura deck in these colors. Obviously, you could get like a cheap win out of it, but you could put this on your opponent's creatures, just FYI. I know that typically that's not the route you'd want to go with it, but Eriette, if you've got her on the battlefield, maybe you've got Indestructible on her, then we're able to potentially have our opponents beat our opponents with an infect creature that they didn't plan to come to the game with. I just wanted to really quickly mention that because I thought it was a super fun interaction that you could have in this deck. Vizkopa Guildmage, it's black, white, and it's life drain. Look at that bottom. Whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. That's a nice bottom. 1 black, 1 white, 1 other. You just activate this right as we're about to gain our life from Eriette's ability at EOT, and then suddenly each opponent is losing that much more life. Vizkopa Guildmage, you complete me. One of my favorite cards. Grim Guardian is pretty sweet because I want to start stacking the gain and drain abilities with synergistic pieces. We want to get as many gain and drain stuff going on the battlefield as we can so that we are, if we've got all our 5 auras, that's 5 from Eriette. Every time Grim Guardian sees itself or another enchantment enter the battlefield, each opponent is losing another life. Suddenly, every single opponent is losing 5, 6, 7 life a turn. And they're like, what's going on? We're not even getting attacked. Eriette's just over there sitting in her chair all coy, winking at you. That's what she does. Find as many synergistic opportunities as you possibly can to have it say each opponent loses a life, each opponent loses life. As long as it says each opponent and they're losing life, and hopefully it has some enchantment synergy, you're in the right place. Clawing Torment is an enchantment aura, and I love what this says here. Enchanted permanent has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. It can enchant an artifact or a creature. So we can just target one specific player, put it on an indestructible artifact, mayhaps an indestructible artifact that just seemingly is everywhere now and won't go away. Suddenly, that is also punishing them a little bit more. Clawing Torment seems like the kind of fun aura that finds a home in this deck when you may not have even seen this card before. It does also, by the way, reduce a creature -1/-1 and make it unable to block. That's just a nice little beneficial to, I'm looking to put this on 1 rings. I'm looking to put this on soul rings. I want 1 player punished with Clawing Torment. But there's a lot of other ways that we can also drain people down, and that's looking for the keyword Extort. Whenever you cast a spell, you can pay either a white or a black, and if you do, each opponent loses a life, and you gain that much life. Extort is fantastic in a deck like this. Like I said, we're just adding that extra point of damage, extra little ping every single turn. Suddenly they're losing 5, 6, 7 life a turn, and they don't know what happened. This also has the benefit of making everything come into play tapped, which is just kind of super annoying for your opponents and can shut down a lot of random strategies. But look, don't forget, enchantments and aristocrats go together hand in hand. There's a lot of non-enchantment synergistic aristocrats pieces that you won't want to run in this deck, but you can lean in a little bit with cards like Meat Hook Massacre. Now, this isn't an aura. Not every enchantment in your deck may have to be an aura. You do want a certain number of auras. I'd say like 15 to 20. Make sure you've got a good number in there so that we're constantly proccing Eriette as much as we can, maybe even up to 25. But some of those slots aren't going to be auras, and you can use those slots. Say this is a board wipe, and it's also enchantment synergy, and it's also aristocrat synergy. That's what you want to kind of look for as you're building this deck. Look for cards that fulfill multiple roles, and you'll start getting a lot of pings, especially if you run cards with Constellation. It's going to see an enchantment enter, and that's all it was looking for, and everything else is synergistic. This is kind of a side synergy. But look, auras and aristocrats, that's only one way to build Eriette of the Charmed Apple. I'm personally of the opinion that there are at least 3 ways to build most EDH decks. That's the one you just saw. And mean.
Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat.
I'm starting off the fun category by showing Anguished Unmaking. I know, just bear with me. I want to go with White Hair Don't Care for our fun way to build this deck. I started it as a joke. I'm only going to run cards with creatures and characters with white hair in them. But I started realizing, oh wow, there's a lot of treatments of some really strong commander cards. We could have a white hair, silver fox, silver vixen sub-theme throughout this entire deck that's sort of a pseudo theme, and people don't even recognize that it's happening until you point out the fact that every single card in your deck has gray hair on it, and they suddenly know that you are taking this seriously. Seriously fun. Anguished Unmaking has gray hair. You see Sorin. Any of the cards with Core or with Sorin or with Avacyn, that's what you want to look for when you're building a version like this. Feed the Swarm absolutely belongs in the deck. Extra points that we got white hair on there. Look, it's Avacyn. Cloud Shift. We're doing a little whoopsie. Exile target creature you control. Return that card to the battlefield under your control. Oh, you're trying to target my Eriette? Whoops, gray hair, shunk shunk, Cloud Shift, shunk shunk, gray hair, can't catch me, Silver Vixen, shunk shunk. Keep it in here. Keep the sub-theme. Make it happen. Core Spirit Dance, are you kidding? This was already going in here. Gray Hair Don't Care, baby. We already knew you were coming around, but now you definitely have a starring role in the deck, because we're also going to run cards like Wither Crown. You've never even seen the card Wither Crown before. 1 black, 1 other enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has base power 0. Ooh, this is sounding nice for our deck strategy. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life unless you sacrifice it. Boom. We're going to get rid of a creature, or they're going to just slowly be drained by a creature that has base power 0 anyway. Can't attack us, doesn't matter. It's an aura and it's got gray hair. Ailey, Eternal Pilgrim. Pay 3, sack a creature, exile target non-land permanent, activate this ability only if you have at least 10 more life than your starting life total. You know what we're going to be doing in this deck? Gaining quite a bit of life. You know what Ailey has? Gray hair. Let's go. Planner Disruption. Anything with the Wandering Emperor? Hello. Gray hair, don't care. Silver Vixen, coming at ya. This is an aura that enchants an artifact, a creature, or a planeswalker, and it turns off all attacking and blocking and activated abilities of that artifact, creature, or planeswalker. It was already going in the deck. Gray hair don't care. That's what I'm saying. This is such a good sub-theme for this deck. It started out as something stupid and became something serious. Seriously fun! Moving on to Visions of Brutality. It's an aura we would probably run anyway. Gray hair, don't care. Enchanted creature can't block. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage, its controller loses that much life. This is exactly what we were already looking for as far as cards go. We want this in the deck. It also has gray hair, and it does not care. For the mean way to build this deck, we're going to take a cursed approach. Look, every single curse is an enchantment aura, y'all. Yeesh. We can get real mean with this, especially if we're not spreading the love and we're targeting one player down, but we'll talk about that more in a second. I really have enjoyed building this deck. I think that this curse package I'm going to go over in this section of the video could just be kind of taken out and put into any version of Eriette. I think this is just a really fun build, but I'm kind of in my villain era, so I would like this. Let's talk about Curse of Full Wisdom. 6 mana enchant player. Whenever enchanted player draws a card, they lose 2 life, they gain 2 life. You want to further drain and gain the control player, you want to use Curse of Fools of Wisdom. Bonus points if you can figure out how to discard this card, because then you get to play it for 4, and that is way better than playing it for 6. Believe me. I love this curse. I also love Trespasser's Curse. We want to have further gain and drain on the aggro player. A black and 1 for an aura curse enchant player. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under enchanted player's control, that player loses a life and you gain 1 life. Elves, you say? Elves, you say? Trespasser's Curse. Pass. Kind of a tough situation. They are in green, so they can remove enchantments, but it's the thought that counts. We're trying to be mean. There's nothing meaner than Overwhelming Splendor. Let's just turn off the creature decks entirely. 8 mana. Enchant player, aura curse. Creatures enchanted player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. This has so much impact on so many decks. Overwhelming Splendor, I would love to figure out a way to cheat this out, or you know what, get to 8 mana and say, look, I'm just tired of you. I'm just tired of you. Overwhelming Splendor. Sorry, it had to happen. And look, if you're saying sorry to the creature deck, let's say sorry to the token deck. And this is cheaper than Overwhelming Splendor. 5 mana. Creatures enchanted player controls get -1/-1. Oh wow. Somebody brought spirits to the game. Cool. Curse of Death's Hold. Pass. That's really going to put a thorn in the side of those little token decks running around all over the place. Squirrels looks at Curse of Death's Hold and goes, no, thank you. I'm so good on that. You've also got cards like Torment of Scarabs at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep. That player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. This is just obnoxious. This is just going to put your opponent on tilt. Get them out of the right mindset to be focused on winning. They're going to be focused on, gotta do the Scarab trigger again. It's such an annoying card. They're just going to hemorrhage resources, either life or permanents off the battlefield that aren't lands or cards from their hand. Love this one. You've also got Curse of Disturbance. This is more of an all-purpose one. It sort of encourages your opponents to attack your opponent that is cursed by Curse of Disturbance. Whenever enchanted players attack to create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, each opponent attacking that player does the same. So you get some free 2/2s to throw around. It's not a huge incentive in Commander, but it is a incentive, and some people just need an incentive at all to pick which way they're going to attack. It'll keep somebody from rolling for attacks. Come on, don't roll a die. Just choose who you're going to attack. Stand up, make a statement. Make something out of yourself. We go from Disturbed to Exhausted. Curse of Exhaustion. Enchanted player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Oh, cool. You brought red, blue. Is it? Red blue, is it anything? I was going to name another deck after that and get specific with it, but just red blue. You brought red blue. Cool. Curse of Exhaustion. Hope you find your Chaos Warp. This is really going to put somebody on tilt, and some people just may go to scoop phase when they see it. Curse of Misfortunes. I talked about going all in on one player. That's probably how you should play these curses. Just take one player out of the game. But that's very mean. Even though we are in the mean section, we're still trying to make a fun experience for everybody, even though we're building a very mean deck. Curse of Misfortunes enchants a player and says at the beginning of your upkeep, you can search your library for a curse card that doesn't have the same name as a curse attached to the enchanted player, put it onto the battlefield attached to that player, then shuffle your library. So this is kind of a, all right, now I'm going to play Curse of Misfortunes on the person I haven't played a single curse on so far, and it's going to go and just pull a curse out every single turn and curse them further and further. So, pal, you better win or you're going to be in a bad situation. Let me know how you're building Eriette of the Charmed Apple. That's it. If you liked the video, subscribe. 30% of you are subscribed, 70% of you are not. Be one of the 30%. Let's go. Let me know what new card from Wilds of Eldraine you think we should cover in a video like this. Other than that, tapped out. Catch you later.